The sun dipped low over Maple Avenue, painting the quiet suburban street in shades of gold. From a distance, everything looked peaceful: the neat lawns, white fences, and the hush of small-town life. But peace can be deceiving. Behind one cracked sidewalk and a chipped white porch, the stillness broke with a sound so soft it almost vanished in the breeze, a trembling sob. A little boy stood there, clutching a worn-out teddy bear, his eyes swollen with tears. His voice cracked as he whispered, "He hit my grandma." Those 5 words were enough to shatter the calm of the world. If you believe no child should ever cry out of fear, that kindness and courage still matter, please take a moment to like this video, share it, and subscribe to Kindness Corner, where compassion proves to be the strongest kind of power. The boy's name was Ethan, just 6 years old. His hoodie was streaked with dust from when he'd fallen running down the steps. Behind him sat his grandmother, Clara, her soft blue dress torn at the shoulder, a dark bruise forming on her face. She tried to hide her pain, but not even love could disguise what had already happened. At the doorway stood a man, tall, red-faced, half-drunk, a beer bottle dangling from his hand. Ray. He wasn't family, just someone who'd promised to help Clara after her husband passed away. Instead, he brought anger, control, and cruelty. Ethan had run out barefoot, clutching the teddy bear his grandmother had sewn for him in better days. He didn't know where to go. He only knew someone had to help. His tears hit the pavement as he stumbled down the path. And then, the rumble came. The low growl of engines echoed down Maple Avenue, breaking through the stillness like thunder rolling across the sky. 6 motorcycles turned the corner, sunlight flashing off chrome, until they stopped right in front of Clara's house. The man leading them was impossible to miss, tall, broad-shouldered, a salt-and-pepper beard framing a face weathered by life. Tattoos curled down his arms like old scars, and across the back of his black leather vest were the words Hell's Angels. Beneath it, a smaller patch read, CHLLS. His name was Reed, the kind of man whose presence could silence a crowd. When he saw the boy crying on the steps, he cut his engine, swung off the bike, and knelt beside him. "Hey, buddy," he said, voice low but steady. "What happened?" Ethan couldn't speak. He only pointed, toward the porch, toward his trembling grandmother, and the man above her gripping that bottle. Reed's jaw tightened. Inside him, something old and painful stirred. Memories of a childhood where no one came to help. But he wasn't that helpless kid anymore. And no one, not while he was around, was going to make a child cry like that again. Reed rose slowly, eyes locked on Ray. Behind him, 5 bikers stood in silence, a wall of quiet strength and judgment. The neighborhood watched, curtains shifting, doors cracking open. Everyone could feel what was about to happen. Ray tried to steady himself, arrogance flickering into fear. "This ain't your business," he muttered. Reed stepped closer, calm but unstoppable. The sunlight caught the chrome on his vest as he stopped at the bottom step. "It became my business," he said quietly, "the moment I heard a child say those words." Ray's grip loosened on the bottle. His bravado melted into shame. He looked at Clara, the woman he'd hurt, and at the boy who'd run to strangers for help. No excuses came. Only silence. Because in that moment, truth didn't need words. It stood there in leather and steel. Men who had once been broken, now rebuilt as shields for the weak. Ethan stood behind Reed, clutching his teddy bear, watching the man who had hurt his grandma shrink for the first time. Reed didn't have to yell or lift a hand. The weight of what he represented, justice, protection, brotherhood, was enough. He leaned in close, voice calm but sharp as steel. "She doesn't need your help anymore," Reed said. "Pack your things. You're done here." Ray backed away, step by step, until he vanished inside. Moments later, his truck roared to life and disappeared down the street. For the first time that day, there was peace. Reed turned back to Clara, kneeling gently beside her. "You didn't have to," she began weakly. He said softly. "No one should ever have to live scared. Not you. Not him." His voice cracked slightly as he looked at Ethan. Then he signaled to his men. One handed him a bottle of water. Another pulled a first aid kit from his thul bag. Neighbors watched in silence as a group of men the world often labeled as dangerous showed more tenderness than anyone expected. They comforted Clara, called for help, and stayed until the ambulance arrived. While paramedics treated her, Reed sat beside Ethan on the porch. The boy finally smiled, a small, fragile smile that made Reed's throat tighten. As they helped Clara into the ambulance, Ethan ran forward and hugged Reed's arm. "Thank you," he whispered, holding his teddy bear tight. Reed nodded, words unnecessary. When the ambulance drove away, the bikers mounted their motorcycles once more. Reed looked back, at the house, the boy waving from the porch, and the woman safe inside. He didn't say it aloud, but the thought stayed with him. Sometimes the loudest acts of kindness come from the quietest hearts. He revved his engine once, not as a threat, but as a promise. A promise that kindness still rides where it's needed. If this story touched your heart, remind the world that compassion is strength. Like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner, where real courage begins with simple kindness. And before you go, ask yourself, what would you do if you heard a child say those words? Because sometimes, one person's courage can change everything.